Hi, Daniel.
Adam.
Daniel, let's start with, well, it's been the big talking point, hasn't it? The goalkeeper situation. What are you going to do this weekend, and how is Elan?
Yes, I think big believer to have always clarity on the goalkeeper position, and for that we've taken, and I've taken already my decision and spoke to the goalkeeper. So Karl Dahle will play on Saturday if nothing happens, and Elan will be on the bench, so we'll change on this position. That's what I can confirm, and Karl is aware, and Elan is aware, and for me it's also important that we have clarity relatively early during this week. That, also Karl, for him, the first time that he's involved in the league game since a while, that he can concentrate on this topic, and this is definitely the decision for the weekend.
It's a big decision, Daniel. How difficult was it to make?
Well, I work together not with robots. I work together with human beings, and of course for Karl it's a decision where he is of course buzzing. It's a bit easier, but for Elan then of course a bit more difficult decision to take. It's always a bit difficult, especially we all know that. Yes, Elan has a bit difficult season so far. You have to be honest. I was always honest about this. Also, once we spoke several weeks ago about this topic. I think in general, with a goalkeeper, you're number one, you are a bit more careful to change than, for example, with a field player. Because once a field player has a difficult game or two difficult games, then you rotate a bit, and then different one gets his chance. On the goalkeeper positions, it's important that you don't change from game to game, and of course you stick to your number one, even after one or two mistakes. That's also quite normal, and especially once you have such a young, promising goalkeeper like Elan. So he is much longer in the club than I am, and he has done a lot also for his club. He took part in securing promotion a few years ago. He had a fantastic first season on Premier League level, and has already, although for a goalkeeper he's still young at age, more than 100 Premier League games under his belt for this club, and also more than 100 championship games. Last season, for example, he was in the championship team of the season, and of course then you stick even a bit longer to him. But I made it also quite clear the last time we spoke about this topic. Of course, it's still professional football, and you have to deliver, and you have to perform well, and you have also to handle the pressure. Last time he has responded really, really well with many good performances, several clean sheets. For example, an unbeaten February, where he was also crucial with many saves. But also in the last weeks we had the feeling in a few situations he could have done a bit better. And then obviously in the last game he was strongly involved also in both goals. And for that, I got the feeling. So right now it's also a decision where I have to make a decision, and also to protect him a little bit, because it feels also a little bit like, of course, at the moment the camera and the spotlight is on him, and he's still a young man, and it feels a bit like the weight of the world is a bit on his shoulders, and sometimes you also have to protect a goalkeeper a little bit, and this was my feeling then during this week. And the second reason why I had this decision was also that I have a really, really reliable and proper option also with Karl Dahle. First of all, a very experienced goalkeeper, proven on this level, a top-class character. I know there are always a few concerns because apart from his Hull spell, he didn't play many league games in the recent years, but I see him each and every day in training. He performs really, really well. Absolutely professional, absolutely loyal. Everyone also trusts him, and it's also a good moment right now because he has played recently 2 games for Wales, 2 really solid performances, 1 clean sheet and 1 game where he was not involved in the goal. So he's also in a good rhythm, and for that we got the feeling. So at this moment, especially heading into such a nervy period, crunch time period, where everyone feels a bit more the pressure and is perhaps even a bit more nervous right now, it's also the right time to take this decision. And for that, one time also like to protect Elan a little bit and give him a little breather, and then he can start again. But also because we trust Karl so much and we are fully convinced of his qualities and also his experience right now, and this is why I took the decision, and I'm also 100% convinced that at this moment it's the right decision.
Thank you. And the rest of the squad, how are they looking coming into the game? Are you all right injury-wise? Any better news?
No, good news. So all the players who were available for the last game came also through and also available for the weekend. So good news, no new injuries.
Okay, and nothing more to add on Max and Patrick at this point.
No, each and every game day, each and every day on the training pitch brings them closer and is beneficial for them. And yeah, they had also good week of training, and yeah, like always, they're also in the mix. Yes.
How important was it for Ethan Ampadu particularly to have another week? Because he came back last week and he had to adapt straight away. And look, he wasn't the only one. Not everybody, nobody really covered themselves in glory. But has this week been particularly beneficial for him?
Yes, I think overall it was definitely important for him to have this first 60 minutes under his belt. We got the feeling it's a bit easier in a home game, especially also against a Welsh side. To give him also the nod to get the first experience, and obviously our Tanaka was also away, played in a different time zone on Tuesday. Of course, Ethan didn't expect him to be straight away at his best. For that, he was out too long. But it's also like the longer you wait, yeah, the more rusty it is for a player. And I think it was important for him to have the first 60 minutes under his belt and to shake off the rust a little bit, because yeah, we need his leadership and also his physicality also for the run in, and also must not forget. I know that yeah, sometimes you're a bit quick in being also a bit harsh in the judgment of the performance of the player. Of course, Ethan was not there at his best, but once we took him off the pitch, and we were 1-0 in lead after 60 minutes, and it was more like standing ovations for him because everyone was happy we have our captain back. After the game, I was thinking, of course, it was not his best game, but perhaps with his defensive steel and awareness, I'm not sure if you would have conceded with him 2 goals while he was on the pitch. Anyhow, but for me, it was clear that after 60 minutes was the longest period that he could have played in this game. But to have another week of training and have already this 60 minutes under his belt, it will be pretty beneficial, and I'm happy to have him back.
And Daniel, you said that you're convinced that Leeds will be in the Premier League next season. How have your players responded to that? Because you being convinced, you have to transmit that message to them continually, I suppose.
To be honest, I've not asked them how they judged my opinion. Just I want, together with you guys, when I ask a question, and I was asked the question, are you right now nervous because a few weeks ago you were in an even better position? No, it's just my honest feeling. I'm not nervous at all. I'm totally composed and calm and cool. And I'm 100% convinced that we will play Premier League next season. Because sadly, I'm already a bit older. But the good thing is then you have experienced already a few situations. And thank God I was already involved in a few promotion battles. And over in my manager career, I won the title and promotion in different leagues already 5 times, and it's always the same. So you got a good feeling if you have a team who will make it and will get promoted, or if something is missing. And I will never speak about it if I wouldn't be 100% convinced. But with this team, I know how tight they are together, and also like that they have the right mentality, and I'm 100% convinced. Of course, at this stage of the season, you can't guarantee that you will finish in the top 2, because for that the tide is too race. We have the race is too tight. We have strong opponents with Sheffield, with Burnley, even Sunderland is there if they have a perfect run in with their outsider chance. So you can't guarantee that you will finish in the top 2. But I still think we have a great chance also to finish in the top 2. And if not, then also the playoffs. So I'm 100% convinced during this season that we will play Premier League, and there is not one doubt in my head, and why. So we are there after 39 games with 81 points, more than 2-point average per game. We've lost in the last more than 20 games just once at Portsmouth when we had 100% chances, penalties that should be given. Why should I be nervous? Just because the first game after the international break, when we score more or less 2 own goals, it ends up then with a heartbreaking finish in the last minute, and it's just a draw. And just because, perhaps a few game days ago, the situation in terms of point gap was even a bit better. If the season would be finished right now, we would play Premier League because we are currently in the top 2. But again, so for me, it's also like, yeah, even if you would drop out of the top 2, I'm 100% convinced in the end we have all chances to finish in the top 2, and if not, then to use the playoffs. So I came here also in order to bring this club back to the Premier League, and I'm 100% convinced. And I work with this group each and every day. I know how tight together they are. I know that at the moment we have no injury problems. We have all players back. I know on which good run we are. We are there in the top 2 at the moment, 81 points, best goal difference. We score many, many goals. Yeah, last 2 games we have conceded a few too many, so we have to make sure that we don't give too many cheap goals away. But sometimes you have to accept the draw. It's not like 46 game days are all in your direction. Yeah, sometimes you also have to accept that it's a game day of the other teams, and for that, I'm 100% convinced. And sadly, I can't give you a guarantee because I don't have the knowledge about this, but just can give you a clear answer and my clear opinion. And I'm totally calm, and I'm pretty convinced that we will achieve our target.
Hi Daniel, you don't have to tell us the full starting lineup if you don't want to, but is Willie available to start, and how keen are you to make use of his momentum that he's built up?
Yes, overall we got the feeling. Of course, it was a heartbreaking finish, but also for several players, it was the last game was individualized pretty beneficial. Yeah, for example, it was good for Junior and for AO not to risk them in terms of injuries and to give them a bit more time to recover. I think they are fully fit for selection. It was good for Brendan Aronson after a difficult spell. I think he was our best offensive player on the pitch, especially in the first half. Scored after 40 seconds. I think for him also a confidence boost, important for him. Good for Willie to find a bit more trust for back in his ankle, and good for him also to have a full week of more healing for the ankle and full week of training. I think beneficial for him. We spoke about Eason, that it was beneficial. So overall, I think for many players, yes, and Willie has a good spell. He was quite impressive in the second half at QPR. Was good for his confidence. And of course, he was also a bit nervous about his ankle. But when you score a goal and what he was thought it would be a decisive goal, it's always good for his confidence. I would have preferred that we wouldn't concede and that he was more or less carried on the shoulders of his teammate through our supporters and gets a bit more praise instead of feeling the disappointment with the last late equalizer. But overall, he's also ready to go like all my players are, and for that, it's a good feeling.
How do you prevent this from being a situation like you faced at Portsmouth, where it'll be very physical? You imagine that they'll try and beat you up a little bit on Saturday. How do you steel your team to prepare them for that and to overcome it?
I can't prevent this, and I can't take away from the fact that this will be exactly the fact. So, yes, everyone would have expected Luton to be in a much better position. Everyone was thinking about their challenge also for promotion. They have many, many players in their squad who have played Premier League last season. They have Premier League physicality. And right now also a good run of form. So we know that I think in the form table the last 5 games they're on position 5. They had many good results, and they will of course fight with the knife between the teeth because they are fighting for survival. They know that they need each and every point, and their game is also always quite physical and intense, and especially with some good results under their belt in the last weeks. We know it will be a tough test, but one thing is also for sure, we won't travel there and be successful in doing Luton things better than Luton themselves. So we spoke about, of course, when there is this physical battle and there are many long balls and many long throw-ins and set pieces and fight for second balls, you have to accept the challenge and you have to adapt and you show steel and resilience, but also to make sure that we don't just try to copy Luton. It's more like we have as many periods as possible where we play our game and we turn back to dominating the game more, bringing the game more in their half. And we know, for example, in the last 3 games, we have always got 2 goals. But there was more or less just one game when we controlled the game and dominated the game. It was a home game against Millwall. And if we do so, then we don't allow the opponent to create chances and to score goals. This is why we won this game with a clean sheet result. And the other last 2 games, we sadly have conceded 2 goals. Yes, a bit like own goals if I'm really honest. So cheap goals, yes, of course we have to avoid this. but also to return back in dominating the game, dominating the ball, letting the opponent suffer as much as possible by chasing the ball. This is what we're trying to do. So we need a good balance. We need to be ready for this physical challenge and to be aware of this. And I can't take this away, so I can't change the style of Luton and their physicality. It's always difficult to handle this. But on the other hand, to make sure that we make out of this game our football game, and this is the balance that we have to show.
Hi, Daniel. I appreciate you spoken at length there about the goalkeeper situation. Is there any chance that Ilan could come back in for later down the line in the next few games, or is Cole now your number one for the rest of the season?
Well, you know my attitude that I don't like to change from game to game on the goalkeeper position. But right now, it's also not the moment to look too far ahead, because when you take a decision and give a promise for the upcoming weeks, and there is 100% an illness or injury or red card or something like this, and then you have to eat your words. So for that, there is not. Especially at this stage of the season, so you don't look too far ahead and give any guarantees too much. So we just look up to the next game. But you also know my attitude that I'm not a big fan of changing the goalkeeper from game day to game day.
Oh, thank you for that. How did Ilan take the news?
Good. We had a long conversation. Of course, he was disappointed, but not so much with my decision. He was more disappointed that he couldn't show what he have shown, for example, last season when he was named in the championship team of the season. Or he also knew that, for example, also in this game, he started so well, was on the course to be man of the match with a safe penalty and a really good first half. He was just disappointed that he dropped the ball and it was more or less an own goal, the equalizer, and also that he, of course, should have done better with the second goal. So, and he's a team player, and he's also playing for this club several years right now, and he knows, what it means for him to defend the shirt and to show this. And he was disappointed that he couldn't help the team in the last game, and for that he knows it's professional football, and I'm pretty sure Karl was always loyal servant, assistant to him, and Ilan will do the same. He has also done this after we spoke in the training session afterwards. Also today, he's also there and tries to help the team right now, even in the more or less second goalkeeper role. And I'm 100% he will do this. And sometimes also, like, for him, if I'm really honest, it feels also. Sometimes we forget. I know they earn lots of money and no complaints about this, and they are poster boys. And I don't like to complain about how hard their life is. It's not. They're leading a privileged life. But sometimes when you feel also the pressure and the world on your shoulder, it feels also like a bit of relief. So I saw him even today laughing and cheering with the boys, and I think it will be also beneficial from him. And I think for the longer term, also a chance to learn from this and to take some step back and to have a breather right now, and then to come back stronger. So I liked his response, and I think he's, although of course he will be disappointed not to be in the starting lineup, but overall in a good mood. And even if we need him then, then we would also trust him.
Did Ethan or any of the other players come to you with their thoughts on Ilan, or did you get a sense of where their opinions were on how he had been in recent weeks?
No, but it's also up to me, of course, also to ask sometimes field players. So it's not like we have a round table. It's more like, and then we decide all together who starts. So sadly, I'm the manager, and I have to take the decision. And if you would ask 24 players, you will probably get 24 different opinions, perhaps. Yeah, they are not 24 goalkeeper choices, but also like how to judge it. But of course, also important sometimes to get the feedback from the player. But yes, also asking the reason, not just after the last game, but also always about their opinions. And the sense is that the group trusts both goalkeepers. So Ilan and Karl, whatever decision I would have taken, they would have backed him because they know how good they both are. And also with Alex Cairns, our number 3, but they also like to play with him. And even if he would be in the goal, they would give everything in order to protect the clean sheet. So we have a great group of goalkeepers, and I'm pretty fortunate. Obviously, was a bit disappointed that it's a bit more difficult year in this terms, because in terms of points it could have been a bit easier if we would have played on the goalkeeper position such a good season like last season. For example, it was not to be. Sometimes you have to handle this situation, but I know that my outfield players back all our 3 goalkeepers, and they trust all 3 goalkeepers. And of course, straight away, directly after a goal, it's also a gesture of disappointment. That's quite normal. And it's always the same when the goalkeeper concedes a goal, for example, in the last game. But overall, the outfield players also back a lot. The players, our goalkeepers. No one came in order to ask for a change anyhow, but also to hear and listen to my outfield players, especially also the defenders, centre backs, full backs, how they feel. It's always not asking them every day and every week, but over the course of the season, always like what we can improve and how their feeling is. It's always important to take this also into account.
On Saturday, we noticed you'd mentioned going up in late May, and you mentioned the playoffs today as well. And I think we've all had quite a difficult experience of the playoffs, both last season and in previous years with Marcelo. So what gives you the confidence that if you did have to go down that route, that you would come through this time, unlike last year?
If I'm honest, I don't want to speak about the playoffs right now. So I'm pretty upbeat. So we have a completely different scenario to the last season. Last season, we were more or less from game day one just in the chasing position. So Leicester was at some point, I'm not sure, 15, 16 points clear. 17, okay, you know it better than me, sorry. Ipswich was far away. It's more or less we were chasing. Whatever it was, 9, 10 wins in a row. We were still a few points behind, and it's quite normal at some point. The energy is also a bit over, and we had also a situation that Southampton, who were perhaps the biggest favourite for the top 2 before the season start, they were even behind us, and they were involved in the playoffs. And for that, it was difficult last season. It's a completely different scenario this season. Right now, the last weeks and months, we were always in the top 2, most of the time, even top of the league, and it's more or less like, yes, of course, it's not like you extend your lead. Sometimes you also the gap gets a bit closer. I still think that we have a great chance also to finish in the top 2, and I don't want to speak about the players, and I'm 100% convinced that we'll do this. But what I have noticed also about this club, I mentioned the first time I came to Leeds was already several years ago. And the second year I was allowed to come to Elland Road. There was a situation, I came with Norwich, and Leeds was together with Norwich in the promotion battle. Leeds was on position 1, 3-point gap to Norwich, even bigger gap to position 3. And everyone had the sense, it was more like, if we beat Norwich right now, the race is over and we are promoted. And I came to this Elland Road, and it was full packed, and all the white scarves, and everyone was singing, marching on together. I was thinking, wow, what an atmosphere. And obviously we had the better ending with the Norwich team during this season. And the feeling was a bit like, okay, perhaps they were a bit nervous and a bit over-motivated. Norwich won the game, and then we were level on points, and we were both pretty clear ahead of position 3. And then more like the weeks after, of course, I was involved in this battle, and I realized it's more like, yes, Leeds fall apart, and I was struggling to explain it because I had a really, really good coach with Marcelo. For me, I liked the Norwich team at this, but for me, Leeds had by far the better side and by far better players, and I was thinking, why does this happen? And the feeling was a bit like everyone in and around the club was so nervous and panicking because they just lost this one game against Norwich, but they still had the best team, they still had the top coach, they still had the best position anyhow. Why does everyone get so nervous and try to change everything? So I was realizing they changed the formation and the way they played, and everyone was so nervous. I was thinking, listen, I loved so much to be in the stadium. I loved so much the atmosphere, and what a big club this is anyhow. Even, of course, I was working for a different club at this time, but I was thinking, one day I would like to come back and help this club anyhow to stay also in this situations a bit more calm and a bit more positive and a bit more in a believer position instead of, oh, it happens again and panicking again. We haven't done this in the last 25 years with playoffs, or just once during COVID when no supporters were around. We can't do this when it's emotional. No, so it's more like, this is why I wanted to sign 2 years ago. I know how difficult it is to stay calm and cool with this club, but believe me, so my composure and my calmness and my coolness is more than enough for whole Yorkshire. Anyhow, that I want to make sure that everyone is also allowed to panic. It just shows how much they care for this club and how much everyone wants to be successful. But also, like, my task is to make sure that we stay cool, that we stick together, that we are not overreacting, that we are not over-motivated, that we totally believe. And this is what I bring to this club. So, sadly, I can't guarantee this right now, but believe me, I'm totally calm, totally cool, totally composed. I totally believe the boys are doing a great job. And believe me, in the end, next season, we will play Premier League. I'm 100% convinced of this. I can't give it right now written anyhow, but this is why I came to the club, and this was like what I want to achieve, and yes, hopefully we can deliver. Thank you.
Hi, Daniel. Given what you just said and the experience from last season, and considering that after that great win at Sheffield United, you were 7 points clear of Burnley and 5 ahead of Sheffield United, has it surprised you that your side has let slip the initiative and found yourself now sort of chasing again?
No. First, because we're Leeds United, we never do it the easy way. Second, because no team does it the easy way to promote in this league. 46 game days. Of course, I would wish it would be like you go top of the league, you go and it's more like create a point gap, and then you create even bigger point gap. No, even after the Sheffield game, I said, listen, there's so many games to play for. I said it before the game, and after the game, it's never a guarantee. And it's more like, in this league, sometimes when it's a difficult spell, you can sometimes here and there draw a game. Yes, and if the other team is then immaculate in this moment and wins more or less 5 in a row, you can drop a few points in comparison to them quite quickly. That happens anyhow. So for me, it was never like, with whatever 12 games to go, 5 points clear or 7 points clear, it's done. It's more like, yes, sometimes, yes, if you play against West Brom, third game within 6 days, you can be there with a draw. If you go to a difficult away game like QPR and you're 2-0 down, after 20 minutes, you have just to live with a point. And if the other team wins at the same moment, the point gap gets a bit closer. But I was fully expecting this. Of course, I was hoping, for example, in the last game that we don't score 2 own goals, more or less, and the point gap would be even better right now. But it's nothing what surprises me that this can happen. It doesn't make me happy. Yes, that's right. But it's not like what makes me nervous or surprises me, because I always expect it would be difficult. And for example, the first game after the international game, for me, it was not a surprise that our first half was, in terms of possession and playing football, by far not our best game. I think in terms of possession was one of our worst games, but that's what happens when the players are 2 weeks away with different approaches. So nothing surprises me in this league. I know it's a tough race. It's a tight race. It's always a tight race till the end. We have top opponents. We have opponents like with Sheffield, Burnley, who play also with the experience of Premier League football last season. Sunderland is still in the mix with a perfect run in. They play with refereeism to be a bit like the outsider. It will be a tight race. We have to keep our nerves. We have to perform. We have to concentrate on the contents, on our football. We have to deliver performances. And even if there are 1 or 2 more scruffy game days, I don't see, even in the last 7 games, even there, if you lose 1 or 2 games, I don't see why you shouldn't win then the other 4 or 5 games anyhow, and then you would finish with the proper amount of points that you will finish in the top 2. So I don't expect in this league not one team to win each and every game and to be immaculate and to win easy with whatever more than 100 points. Normally it doesn't happen, and for that, no, it has not surprised me, has not made me nervous. It has not made me overly happy, but I know where we are and I know what we're capable of.
Stuart's going to do his questions under embargo if we're okay to turn.